Section 3 of Madame Butterfly. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Avaí in June 2010. Section 3 of Madame Butterfly by John Luther Long. Chapter 7. How he didn't understand her whichever. The baby continued to sleep. He rather justified the praises of his mother. He was as good as a Japanese baby, and as good-looking as an American one. Somebody was without. There was a polite and subdued clattering of clogs in the entrance. "Gomenasai. I beg your pardon." It was a familiar, deprecatory voice, accompanied by the clapping of hands. Cho-Cho-san smiled wearily and called the maid. "Oh, Suzuki, Goro de Nakodo, he is without. Shaka and all the gods defend us now." The two exchanged glances of amusement, and the maid proceeded to admit him. Madame Butterfly received him with the odious lack of ceremony her independent life with Pinkerton had bred. She was imperially indifferent. The go-between pointed out how sad this was to as beautiful a woman as she. "Is it a trouble to you?" she asked, perking her head aside. The nakodo only sighed gloomily. Madame Butterfly laughed. "Poor nice little old man," said she, with specious pity, in politest English. "Do not trouble about me. Do not arrive any more if it pains you." "I must. You have no parents now, nor any one. You are outcast." "Ah! But will you not permit me to suffer the lack? But you will never be married." "Again?" "Well, yes, again, then." "How terrible!" He took this quite seriously, and became more cheerful. "Yes, a beautiful woman like you must have a husband." "Yes, thanks. I got one. Do you perhaps mean more?" "I mean a Japanese husband." "Oh, ah! That will have me a month, and then divorce me? And then another, and another, and another?" She was becoming belligerent. "How is it better with you now?" She recovered her good humor. "At America one is married for aever, except the other die. What you thing? Your marriages are not so." She had been speaking indifferently both languages, and now the nakodo, who was not apt at English, begged her to explain this in Japanese. She did so. "Yamadori has lived long at America, and he says it is not thus. Is it not safe to rely upon his excellent wisdom? No, for I, which am foolish, are wiser than both you an' he. I know. You jus' guess. Aeverybody got stay marry in United States America. No one can git divorce, except he stay in a large courthouse, all full judges with long faces and bald on their heads, long time, mebby 2, 4, 7 year. Now jus' think 'bout that, how that is tiresome. Tha's why no one don't get no divorce. They too tired to wait. Firs', the man he got go, and stan' before those judge, and tell all he thing 'bout it. Then the woman she got. Then some lawyers quarrel with those judge, and then the judges git jury, and ask them what they thing 'bout it, and if they don't know they all git put in jail till they git done thinging 'bout it, and whether they go'n' git divorce or not. "Where did you learn that?" asked the old nakodo, aghast. That Mr. B. F. Pinkerton," she assumed a grander air, "that Mr. Benjamin Franklin Pinkerton, my husband," she smiled engagingly, and held out her pretty hands, as who should say, "Is not that sufficient?" It was so evidently the invention of Pinkerton that it seemed superfluous to make the explanation. The nakodo said curtly that he did not believe in it. Not believe what Mr. B. F. Pinkerton had said? Cho-Cho-san was exasperated. The engaging smile had been wasted. She flung the blue-eyed baby up before him. "Well, then, do you believe that?" She laughed almost malignantly. The marriage broker gulped down this fearful indignity as best he might. He hoped there were not going to be any more such women in Japan as the result of foreign marriages. Still, even this phase of the situation had been discussed with his client. "But Yamadori, who was bred to the law, tells me that our law prevails in such a matter, the marriage having taken place here." She gave a gasp, and cried like a savage wounded animal, "Yamadori lies!" The nakodo was silenced. She crushed the baby so fiercely to her breast that he began to cry. "Shh!" she commanded harshly. He looked up for an incredulous instant, then burrowed his head affrightedly into her kimono. She turned upon the nakodo in magnificent scorn. "Oh, you fool! You thing he naever arrive back. Tha' 's what you thing, in secret. He do!" She snatched a photograph from an easel at the tokonoma, tore the child from his hiding, and held them up together. Her purpose was quite evident. The nakodo was thoroughly frightened. She recovered her poise, and her control of the situation. "Now what you thing? Ha ha ha! Say, I bet you all monies he gon' come mos' 1,000,000 mile for see that chile. That's what I all times praying Shaka and the Augustnesses for, one chile exact like him. Well, say, I got him. An' now that Mr. Benjamin Frangalin Pikkerton he got come back, hoary, even if he don' like. He cannot stand it. But he do like." All her passion was gone now, and her sure gladness returned. She was naive and intimate and confidential again. "Say, firs' I pray this large American God, that huge God Almighty, but tha' 's no use. He don' know me where I live. Then I pray Shaka, and all the kaimyo of the Augustness in the god house. I thing they don' hear me, account they outcasted me when I marry with that Mr. B. F. Pikkerton. But," she smiled at her pretty celestial cajolery, "I pray them so long and so moach more than they aever been pray with before, that they feel good all times, an' there was finality in this, "and is use. An' mebby I not all outcasted. Don't tell him. He laugh upon my gods, and say they jus' wood and got no works in them. An' he all times call the Augustnesses bag numbers. Jus' he don't know till he fin' out. "If he returns, he will probably take the child away with him. That is his right," chanted the sad faced nakodo. But nothing could ruffle Madame Butterfly now. She laughed sibilantly at this owl like ignorance. "Oh, how you don' know things! How you don' onderstan' me what I mean whichever! Of course he take that chile away with him, of course! An' me also, an' Suzuki, an' we go and live in his castle for aever an' aever." The improbability of changing the girl's point of view began to dawn upon the slow intellect of the nakodo. "At least, Yamadori wishes for a look at meeting. I have promised him. Will you not grant this?" Cho-Cho-san shook her head at him knowingly. "An' if I do not, he not go'n' pay you one present?" She laughed wildly, and the nakodo by a grin admitted the impeachment. "Well," the spirit of mischief possessed the girl, "say, I don' care. Let him come. He like for see me, I like for see him. An' if I say I go'n' marry him, he go hoary an' marry me right away. What you thing 'bout those?" The nakodo said delightedly that that was precisely what he sought. "Yes, but suppose they put me in a large jail, an' got lookout between bar, so," she illustrated, "an' don' git nawthing for eat, he go'n' stay all times behin' my side an' comforting me? Hol' my hand? Lemme weep upon him? I dun know. Mebby they cut my haid off me. Then he got git his haid cut off, too, an' go the road to Medo together, without those haid. Oh, how that is terrible!